It's Mundo Monday again, and last week we read 2 stories about kids who didn't want words like girl clothes and boy clothes to limit what they wear. But for some kids, even the words girl and boy themselves don't fit correctly. Luckily, some cultures around the world have a place in the middle, a third gender that might fit them better. Like for this child in Hawaii. Ho'onani, Hula Warrior by Heather Gale, illustrated by Mika Song. She was the one who illustrated A Friend for Henry that we read last fall. Ho'onani Kamai did not see herself as a wahine, or girl, or think she was a kane, a boy. She preferred just ho'onane. She is who she is, her mother said. She does what she wants, her father said. But her sister, Kana, wished Ho'onani did not sing songs so loud or play ukulele faster and better than every kane at school. But one morning, Ho'onani's teacher, Kumohina, made an announcement. This year they would bring a Hawaiian custom back to the community. Our high school kane will perform a traditional hula chant, she said. Closing her eyes, Ho'onani could almost smell smoke from a driftwood fire, hear feet stomp, stomp, stomping, see fingers tap, tap, tapping, and palms pitter-patting. She sighed. If only she were kane and old enough for high school. But then Ho'onani heard auditions. Guess she gets a chance to be a part of it after all. Ho'onani could not wait to tell her family. There'll be 3 tests, she said, and Kumohina thinks I should try out. Her father, mother, and brothers were not surprised. Kana rolled her eyes and said, Really? Ho'onani wanted to say she could not believe it either, but before she could speak, her sister changed the subject. The next day, Ho'onani jogged to the gym. She peered inside. Strolling down the line, Kumohina inspected each kane's stance. On her command, their arms rose, bending at the elbows. When Kumohina pushed down hard to measure their warrior's strength, Ho'onani's breath quickened. She should be with them. Her mind made up, she strode inside. One by one, their faces changed. A wahine? A wahine? Not a wahine. Last in line, Ho'onani lifted her arms. As Kumohina pushed down, she held her place. Strong, sure, and steady. Can she do it? She looks pretty good, doesn't she? Ho'onani could not stop grinning when she told her family she passed. Kana frowned. How embarrassing. Her words made Ho'onani's chin tremble. She wanted to ask Kana if they could ride bikes again like they used to, but before she could speak, her sister had turned away. Memorizing the sway and song of story took patience and practice. Ho'onani did not stop until Hawaii's history was a part of her, in dreams by night and thoughts by day. Hands dragging across her face, arms reaching for the sky. As Ho'onani called the sun, the moon, the stars, she held her place, strong, sure, and steady. Finally, it was time to choose a leader. Ho'onani's stomach twisted in nervous knots. One kane, another, and then another stepped forward. Ho'onani studied them. Who was nervous or worried? Who stood tall? Who slouched? Who stayed focused and who squirmed? Then, her turn. Faces swam in front of Ho'onani as she called for attention. Oh, aye-aye-oh! She paused. Would they follow her? No time to think. Words pushed against her lips and the chant tumbled out. Aikamumukeke! Sweeping her warriors into a tidal wave of voices until Ho'onani called the end. Ayala! Ayala! E-oi-ai! Silence hung in the air. When Ho'onani saw complete awe and true acceptance, she held her place. Strong, sure, and steady. She was their leader. Later, Kumohina beckoned her over. her teacher spoke with respect and honesty. She said some people might not appreciate a wahine leading their sons up on the stage. They might create a fuss. Ha'onani knew she could not quit now. She'd earned this position. She thought of her sister, and she looked up to Kumuhina. If someone wants to leave, she said, that's their problem. That evening, Ha'onani couldn't wait to tell her family that she'd been chosen as leader of the Kane hula troupe. Her parents and brothers were proud, but Kana wasn't. Why do you always have to reject wahine things? Kana said. Well, just because I feel more Kane doesn't mean I'm not wahine. I'm in the middle. Why can't you just let me be me? Before Kana could speak, Ha'onani left the table. At last the day of the show arrived. People lined up, tickets in hand. Chatter overflowed the hall. Lights dimmed. Ha'onani wanted to feel strong, sure, and steady, but she was nervous. What if she wasn't Kane enough? If people protested, what would she do? From behind the curtain, a voice boomed. The next day, the island shook violently. Tutupele erupted from the depths. Oli! Ha'onani shouted back on cue. Ready or not, it was time. And to the beat of drums, the thud of heels, the clack of sticks, she toe-heel stomped across the stage. Ha'onani faced the crowd. Her skin prickled. She felt their curiosity stir in the darkness, but she held her place. Strong, sure, and steady. Aikamumukeke! Her voice thundered. The crowd gasped with appreciation and roared with approval. One person stood up. Ha'onani caught her breath. Kana? Ha'onani had found her place, not as a wahine, not as a Kane, but as a hula warrior. Just the way she was. There's an author's note in here that explains that this is based on real events and that there's a place in Hawaii for a third gender. Ha'onani has a Hawaiian word she can use to explain that she is neither a girl or a boy. Mahu, both feminine and masculine. Mahu have had their own unique place in Hawaiian society since ancient times. Everyone has so-called masculine and feminine traits. There are lots of things people consider boy things that I like, and a lot of supposed girl things that I'm not into at all. But I've always felt like a girl, even though my interests might fall somewhere in the middle. Calling myself a girl seems right to me. My oldest child is a boy. He likes a lot of boy things, but he's never been shy about liking girly things too, like cute little animals and princess movies. And if you scare him, he has a very girly squeal. But that doesn't make him any less of a boy. My youngest, on the other hand, has always seemed like a girl. In fact, they like more girly things than I do. But the name girl just doesn't feel right to them. Like Ha'onani, neither does boy. They like non-binary, as in not just one of two options. Unlike Ha'onani, they don't really like the word she either. They prefer they. If that seems strange to you, it shouldn't. Every one of you watching this right now knows someone who prefers they because they are very much non-binary. Me! Yes, I am the whole world after all. I couldn't be just a boy or a girl because I am everyone. All possible genders at once. It's pretty obvious you couldn't be anything else when you look at it like that. Unfortunately, it's not so obvious with people. Actual humans, not entire worlds, no offense. I'm thinking people's bodies, when they're born, will look more like a boy or a girl, so their parents will call them either boy or girl, but they really don't know how that person feels on the inside until they get a little older and can say for themselves whether or not that name fits. Here's a story about a boy who didn't like being called a girl, and Now he hopes he won't make the same mistake for the new baby in his family. When Aidan Became a Brother by Kyle Lukoff, illustrated by Kaylani Juanita. When Aidan was born, everyone thought he was a girl. His parents gave him a pretty name, his room looked like a girl's room, and he wore clothes that other girls liked wearing. But as Aidan got bigger, he hated the sound of his name. He felt like his room belonged to someone else, and he always ripped or stained his clothes accidentally on purpose. Everyone thought he was just a different kind of girl. I mean, some girls had rooms full of science experiments and bug collections. Lots of girls didn't wear dresses. But Aidan didn't feel like any kind of girl. He was really another kind of boy. It was hard to tell his parents what he knew about himself, but it was even harder not to. It took everyone some time to adjust, and they learned a lot from other families with transgender kids like him. Aidan explored different ways of being a boy. He tried out lots of names until one stuck. They changed his bedroom into a place where he belonged. He also took much better care of his new clothes. Then one day, Mom and Dad had something to tell him. "I'm going to have a baby," Mom announced. "A baby?" Aidan said. "Does that mean I get to be the big brother?" "Of course," said Dad, ruffling his hair. Aidan thought that being a big brother was an important job for a boy like him. He wanted to make sure this baby would feel understood right away. The baby needed clothes, so Aidan and his mom went shopping. There were so many choices. Would the baby like seahorses or penguins better? "Are you having a boy or a girl?" asked a lady. Aidan didn't like when people asked if he was a boy or a girl, and he hoped the baby couldn't hear yet. He was glad when Mom just smiled and said, "I'm having a baby." The baby's room needed to be painted, so Aidan and his dad went to the hardware store. Dad chose a gallon of sky blue paint, and Aidan added a puffy cloud white. "Are you excited for your new brother or sister?" asked the paint guy. "I'm excited to be a big brother," Aidan said. Paint guy looks confused. Aidan could tell he wanted to ask a different question and was glad his dad was there. The big rollers were fun to paint with. "This room feels just like being outside," Aidan exclaimed. He had always felt trapped in his bedroom before they fixed it, but his new sibling wouldn't have to feel that way. "You're right," said Dad. "Let's make some shapes in the clouds." Yeah, that looks like a little doggy. It's like something. A horse. There's a bird. Oh, a dolphin. Every baby needs a name. Aidan loved getting to choose his own name, but he remembered that it had been hard for his parents to let go of the name that they'd given him. He looked for names that could fit this new person no matter who they grew up to be. Instead of names for boys and girls, it says names for babies are babies. Willow, sage, pine, oak, sky, moss, cloud, lots of nature names. They could probably go with either a boy or a girl or anybody. Babies need someone to read to them, so Aidan practiced and practiced and practiced. Dad wanted to teach Aidan how to change diapers. Maybe later, said Aidan. He decided that picking flowers for his mom was more important. 2 weeks before the baby's due date, Aidan started to worry. Maybe he should have picked different clothes. The blue walls might be too bright. He wished he could ask the baby which name they like best. Mom came to tuck him in. "You feeling okay, sweetie?" she asked. Aidan put his hands over where he thought the baby's ears would be. "Do you think the baby will be happy with everything?" he whispered. "I don't want them to feel like I did when I was little. But what if I get everything wrong? What if I don't know how to be a good big brother?" Mom hugged him tight. "When you were born, we didn't know you were going to be our son. We made some mistakes, but you helped us fix them. And you taught us how important it is to love someone for exactly who they are. This baby is so lucky to have you, and so are we." The next morning, Aidan found the boxes of his old baby pictures. He looked so different back then. It hadn't been easy, but he liked the boy he was growing into. Maybe everything wouldn't be perfect for this baby. Maybe he would have to fix mistakes he didn't even know he was making. And maybe that was okay. It's a baby! Aidan knew how to love someone, and that was the most important part of being a brother. It's a baby! They never said whether the baby was a boy or a girl. That's because it doesn't matter. This baby is nobody but themselves. Just like all of you. There is no one else exactly like you, so be the best you that you can be. Goodbye.